Thank you, Concola. Taoiseach, in early 2021, I raised with the Taoiseach the effect of the proposed ban on granting of new exploration licences and how it would leave us not only without any energy independence but also undermine investment in all existing exploration licences off the Irish coast and in particular the south-west coast of Ireland and Cork. Sadly, despite a new awareness in the system that we will struggle to keep the lights on this winter coming, little has changed to provide long-term solutions for our energy need. The cost of living in Ireland is increasing at an alarming rate. One of the main reasons for the increase is the uncertainty over energy supply and the rising cost of energy and fuels. Not a single person in Ireland is unaffected by the rising costs. The direct impact of rising fuel costs on farmers, hauliers and fishermen is pushing up the cost of food. The ongoing situation in Ukraine has highlighted the need for Ireland to be self-sufficient from an energy perspective. I acknowledge that transitioning to renewable energy sources must be our key focus in the years ahead. However, oil and gas will be required for at least another 2 to 3 decades while we transition to renewables. We currently import 100% of our oil, 100% of our coal and 70% of our gas, but we have a unique opportunity to harness indigenous supply of oil and gas on our doorstep by optimising the Barry Roe field off the south-west coast. This House and our political system needs to wake up to the exposure to our security of supply. Ireland must demonstrate that we have taken all the necessary measures so that in the event of disruption we have the capacity to satisfy demands of a society and our economy. The Kinsale Head gas field and associated satellite field developments transformed Ireland, being the primary enabler for the formation of Bord Gáis Éireann and gas pipeline infrastructure, creating a large number of jobs and stimulating significant industrial development in the Cork area. The potential in Barry Roe could match that of the Kinsale Head gas field, which has delivered big benefits for the local economy and has shown what can be achieved. It has been worth up to 30 million a year in wages, provisions of supplies and services. Cork, its ports and its airports and its skilled workers have shown that the infrastructure is there, not just to serve the existing fields, but will soon enter wind down, but to repeat that success all over again. The potential is not just for gas, but also could pave the way for wave, solar and offshore wind. Taoiseach, what have this government done, if anything, about pursuing domestic indigenous energy beyond renewable energy? Barry Roe, as I said, is one of the largest undeveloped oil and gas fields offshore Europe. It has the potential to provide significant strategic and fiscal value to Ireland and has the potential to give Ireland security of supply, as well as creating substantial employment opportunities. I am aware that Providence Resources, under the existing exploration licence, submitted an application for a lease undertaking in April 2021. Ministerial approval of the lease undertaking is urgently required to allow the Barry Roe development to move forward. Taoiseach, who is delaying this development going forward, and what are you going to do about the ongoing delays with this national asset? Thank you.
Well, I thank the Deputy for raising the issue, and just to say that in relation to the broader picture around energy supply and security of supply, that the very strong focus is on renewables, and the entire agenda over the next decade or so will be to develop very significantly offshore wind across the coasts, east coast, west coast and the southwest coast, and I believe the next decade will witness transformative investment in wind energy in particular and offshore wind energy, and will create a lot of economic activity in coasts along the western seaboard and in the southwest, and the Shannon Estuary, Cork Harbour port will all be significant centres, as will be a number of ports on the east coast. And I was in Galway recently in terms of a significant conference there in respect of the exploitation of offshore wind with a view to bringing economic benefits to that particular region. And the consensus in the House, as you may be aware, over the last 2 Dáil has been to move towards renewables and away from fossil fuels in general, and particularly towards the exploration of fossil fuels. Now, I know the Barry Roe licence is an existing licence, but my understanding is that has been on the go for quite a long time. When I say on the go, has been an area that has been drilled and so on, has been different sort of iterations, but nothing has ever come to fruition. I believe there's an application in with the Minister. The Minister obviously is considering that application. It's a matter for the Minister for the Environment and Climate in respect of that specific application. But more generally, the focus is moving towards renewable energy and as the basis for our future energy needs. Now, in the interim, and I would accept that gas remains a transitional fuel and will be a transitional fuel well into the future as a backup to wind, and that will be the key aspects. And there's no doubt that transitioning to a renewable energy supply base will be challenging in respect of security of supply, because this economy continues to grow at very strong rates over the last number of years, notwithstanding Brexit, notwithstanding COVID-19. The economy has grown and the economy continues to grow. And in particular, the foreign direct investment side of our economy has been very strong in terms of new investments in life sciences, in technology, in financial services, all of which is beneficial, and in terms of the digital economy. So we do accept that there are challenges in respect of energy into the future, but we are in no doubt that the key focus of the state's activity should be the development of offshore wind at critical mass, so that in the mid-2030s we should be an exporting nation and net exporters of energy through the offshore wind exploitation. Sorry?
Thank you very much, Taoiseach, for your answer. But, Taoiseach, in fairness, the Barry Rowe field has massive potential, and I don't think you researched it properly. And, Taoiseach, are you aware that Minister Ryan has refused point-blank to meet with those from the Corrib and the Barry Rowe fields? And do you agree with this? If the Minister will not meet with the industry because of his own beliefs, will you meet with them, or consider appointing a Minister for Energy who will listen to the alternatives that lie off the Irish coast to enhance our own energy supply? You mentioned here earlier on about renewables. Taoiseach, it will be a very, very long time before the fishing boats of Courtmacsherry, Union Hall, Scull and Castledownbere, or the farm equipment of the farmer supplying Barry Rowe Co-op, or the milk tankers delivering milk to the Cork Company of the Year, Carby Milk Products, will be powered by renewable energy. Taoiseach, it is time for you and your Fianna Fáil TDs to leave the fantasy energy world of a failing Green Party and into the real world of energy insecurity. In July 1942 in this House, your own political hero, the great Sean Lemass, then Minister for Emergency Supplies, said the facts must be faced. There must be no more self-deception in this country. We have all lived too long in a fool's paradise, and it has taken a world war to awaken us to a sense of reality. Taoiseach, in this time of another war, take his advice and extend the Barry Rowe licence. It will give our country energy security, create a significant number of jobs in rural areas in West Cork. Taoiseach, it is indeed time to exit fool's paradise.
Thank you very much, Taoiseach.
I want to pay tribute to Carbery Milk on winning the overall Cork Company of the Year. And maybe you should take their example, Deputy, because one of the issues they champion is net zero emission farm. And they're way ahead of the game in respect of that. And that's West Cork leading, and a great West Cork company leading. And perhaps you should discuss that with them in terms of how they're going about and how they're doing that. And in respect of the broader issue of self-deception, we got a report yesterday to the Cabinet Subcommittee from Mr. Peter Thorne, and today's meteorological report. Like, if there's any self-deception going on, it's a collective self-deception about the impact of climate change, how fast it is approaching, and how devastating it's going to be for our children's children in particular. Quite frightening. And we need collectively to get a grip of ourselves and not be fighting minor battles about turf. Be honestly say that now. Be honestly saying it. Like, we get into all sorts of high-dough about very minor issues.
Time is up.
Relative to the enormity of what's coming our way in respect of climate change. It's quite frightening. And I think there's collectively, I don't mean that in a apportionment of blame or anything like that. I'm just saying collectively, we need to get a grip here.
Time is up, Taoiseach, please. Thank you very much.